Hi, good morning to our distinguished panelists, design professionals, and friends from F&B fraternity. It's indeed a pleasure to host all at the very first edition of webinar series called Business in the Time of COVID, Breaking Down Solutions for Restaurants. We are hoping to add similar such initiatives in future, looking at the fantastic response today. We have about 100 participants for the webinar. Studio Mezzo is honored to have our expert speakers from diverse sectors of F&B like food and beverage consultancy, restaurateurs, operations and supply chain experts, IT integration and packaging specialists. As we all know, COVID-19 has impacted the F&B industry by limiting the functioning of QSRs, cafes, restaurants, bars, and eateries to casual and fine dining restaurants. As the Japanese president, Mr. Shinzo Abe, has warned that new normal must come in place with the 3 C's still be avoided, which is the closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact. Even though there are different formats catering to the unique concepts at varied locations across the country, varied cuisines, there are some things which we associate commonly with all, which is the grappling fundamental question of human to human interaction. Paradoxically, social interaction, love for food, transporting oneself to space outside of your homes are all working negatively in favor of eateries today. Businesses across the globe are opening and reinventing ways, coming up with creative and practical solutions to spring back in action. With Central Government of India also resuming domestic flights from 25th of May, it's very important for us in India to also look at solutions and creative ideas we can put together to make it real and make it happen. Without wasting a moment here, I would like to introduce to you all our speakers for the discussion today. Very happy to have Ravi Gupta. He is CEO at Nukkadwala QSR Hospitality. He is founder and director at PQ Advisors. Nukkadwala Hospitality is a multi-brand QSR restaurant and a cloud kitchen chain, owning and operating about 7 kitchens across Delhi NCR, serving brands namely Nukkadwala, Dum Nook Biryani, and Nook Burger. I would also like to introduce Mr. Sumit Saxena, Principal Consultant, The Foodworks Consulting. He is a hospitality professional with about 30 years of hands-on experience with hotels, casual and fine dining restaurants, QSR chains, both Indian and of international origin. Sumit has had experience of working with brands like Yum Restaurants, Nirula's, PVR, Jamie's Oliver, DLF, The Lodi, Nando's, Pizza Express, to name a few. Also, we have Mr. Khanna, Mr. Ajay Khanna, founder of Fifth Element Hospitality. Mr. Ajay Khanna is a management professional with over 33 years of experience of operations in multiple sectors across F&B retail chains, hotels, property management, FMCG, and corporate hospitals. He has worked with some of the illustrious brands like ITDC, Reliance Industries, Medicine India, Apollo Hospitals, and also had some international exposure with Samprasong Land Public Co in Bangkok. I would like to welcome our next panelist, Mr. Amit Sharma. Amit is the CEO at Chuck. Chuck is a tableware brand which is carcinogen-free, hygienic, modular, and is backyard compostable. A revolutionary FDA-certified product, Chuck has also won the Red Dot Awards in design innovation. Apart from this, Amit also has about 4 years of experience in food business, mainly takeaway and QSR formats. We also have Ashish Tulsian, who's unfortunately running a little late. He's going to be joining by 12. He has some family emergency. So hoping for his participation soon. Ashish Tulsian is co-founder and CEO of POSYS Technologies Private Limited. Ashish is a rare combination of technocrat and restaurateur. With POSYS, Ashish has changed the way restaurants function. Now, POSYS has over 100 plus employees, serving about 8,000 leading restaurants, brands across 20 countries. Moving along, I would also like to introduce my colleague, Arnav. Arnav is an architect from SPA. He's our team lead at Studio Mezzo in F&B sector. Arnav has done some extensive research and suggested some extremely interesting design interventions useful for restaurants, formats to adopt. Arnav will also be co-moderating the discussion along with me today.
Morning, everybody.
Thank you, Arnav. And before we move on, I would also like to introduce myself. I'm Kajal. I'm founder at Studio Mezzo. I'm a graduate of National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, specializing in spatial and communication studies. I have about 16 years of experience in design, and I've worked with various verticals like restaurants, cinemas, retail, and museum experience centers. I've had pleasure of working with prestigious clients like Haldiram, the Future Group, Cosmic Kitchens, and Spice Group. To set the tone and give a basic construct to this discussion, I would like to request Arnav to share a short presentation for everyone to see. Arnav, can you share your screen?
Yeah. Ajal, can you enable my screen sharing?
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Studio Mezzo presents its first Business in the Time of COVID webinar series. Our topic for today is breaking down solutions for restaurants. First, we need to identify the chain of events that any customer goes through in an F&B industry. The first and foremost step is building the trust. Second would be preparing the outlets. Once the outlets are prepared and the customer trusts you, they have made their online bookings and the location has been turned on for Argya Setu app. They reach the restaurant. At the entry check, the customers go through a sanitization protocol. Coming to the front of house area, it starts from the reception kiosk to customer trusting the table they're going to sit at. Customer trusts the food, they have a good meal, no cash, contactless payment, and the journey is complete. F&B industry journey is incomplete without its backbone, the back of house. From raw material hygiene protocol to staff hygiene protocol, kitchen equipment, layout, and the food assembly areas. First step, building customers' trust. This is a crisis of confidence, and it is very important to show the things that are being done to gain back people's trust in their favorite eating joints. Has my favorite restaurant opened yet? But is it safe to go out for a nice evening date? How do I trust that restaurant in a pandemic like this? What all measures has the restaurant taken to adapt to this situation? A COVID logo, signage, posters, tech integration, digital marketing, online marketing, and guidelines manual design are a few interventions to be taken up at this particular stage. Coming to the entry check. How will I enter without touching anything? Is there a contactless sanitization check system in place? Is the reception desk safe to approach for assistance? Floor signage, contactless kiosks, plexi shields, UV chambers to make the belongings corona proof, thermal scanners are a few interventions to be taken up at this particular stage. Seating area in the restaurant. Can I trust the table? Is it properly sanitized? Is the restaurant layout safe according to social distancing norms? Is the cutlery in front of me safe to touch? How can I sanitize my hands before starting my meal? Foot-operated hand sanitizers, disposable cutlery, live sanitization in front of the customers are a few design interventions. Coming to the QSRs, can I trust this counter? Is the QSR layout safe according to social distancing norms? How can I sanitize my hands before starting my meal? Disposable menu, special waiting zone design, floor signage, reworking the layout are a few design interventions to be taken up at this stage. Coming to the food now. How is my food being prepared? Is the kitchen following the hygiene norms? Is there a way for me to check on the process of making my food? Live kitchen counters, live assembly areas, and live food streaming technology are the few interventions at this stage that will rebuild that customer trust. Coming to the back of house area, is the kitchen following the hygiene norms? Is the kitchen design following social distancing norms? Has the staff been following some COVID-19 sensitivity protocol? Training across staff, back of house area redesign, layout analysis, reworking the front of house and the back of house layout. All of it will form a crucial part in relooking at the back of house area. Thank you. Back to you, Kajal.
Thank you, Arnav, for the presentation. Surely crisis and uncertainty are catalysts for innovation and creativity. And clearly there are multiple ways of achieving this through design ideas, operation interventions, F&B, thought processes. The gist of Arnav's presentation is largely talking about building trust through marketing ideas, preparing the outlets, staff's trust, making the entry check is foolproof, reception check chaos, trusting table and the food which is delivered, due diligence at the back of house. Throwing the floor open for discussion, I would like to call Ravi and ask a basic question about Ravi. What do you think it'll take for customers to return once operations resume? Do you think marketing and online advertising is the right way?
Yeah. So Kajal, so there are two legs of our business or any F&B player business right now. One is delivery business. Second is dine-in business.
Right.
Delivery has remained on for most of the players, and real challenge will come with dine-in once it resumes. So how are we going to bring customers back? So that is the first question which comes to anybody's mind. So earlier it used to be about the food, the quality of food which you are providing, and the value and loyalty programs and other things around it which a restaurant used to provide. Now the focus area of entire strategy has shifted to safety. So you have to make customer believe that the food that you're providing to the customer is safe, and before the food, it's actually the environment. The moment customer enters the restaurant, customer has to be satisfied that he is entering a safe zone. There is no health risk or no COVID-19 risk to the customer which the environment is posing. So safety of the environment of the place is going to be the first priority. Second would be quality of food. So how hygienic your food is. And we believe a lot of customers who were earlier not very focused about quality of the food which they were eating, they will become more quality focused now. And third, obviously, will remain actual taste of the food and the value for money. I think to bring the customers back, we'll have to undertake a very rigorous communication in terms of telling the customer what exactly we are doing to providing a safe environment to the customers, to our employees who are dealing with the customers, and the quality of the food.
Right. So, very interestingly, you talked about back of house. Sumit, I would like to bring you in here. How can restaurant dine-in experience be contactless? We've been hearing about KFC, Domino's, and McD's working with zero contact delivery, contactless delivery in all these segments. Do you think the dine-in experience can replicate the same thing?
To a great extent, yes, because it depends on the way you prepare your food. So when the food is being prepared, if the food requires certain heating SOPs to be followed, so during that process there is no risk of COVID spread. So the moment food comes out of the heating process, you have to make sure that there is no unsanitized touch which is taking place with the food. So a lot of players who were using non-disposable cutters, I think they'll have to switch to disposable ones, and we'll have to make sure that you use right equipment, and the placement of those items become equally important. So I think to a great extent that can be achieved with the right plan.
That's right. Sumit, what do you think about it? What are your views about dine-in experience? Replicating contactless delivery at dine-in.
Bring the food.
Yeah.
Sumit, can you unmute your mic?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as preparing the food is concerned, the option of keeping it contactless is going to be limited. We cannot 101% guarantee that it will be contactless. Of course, we can, while it comes to the serving part, you can always keep a contactless option with you as far as the customer is concerned. So while you're handing over the food on out, and that's something which is done even today, there is a very, very less chances that there is any contact between the customer and the server. The contact is really through, water jugs or passing the cutlery, crockery, and so on and so forth. Using, there are disposables which can be used like gloves and everything. I am particularly not very fond of using them because uh, people tend to, keep them on for a very, very long time and they don't change them. And that is something which impacts hygiene as far as I'm concerned. So,
Right.
your hands are dirty, you tend to wash them immediately. But if you're using a glove and you don't, change it, and you're touching various surfaces with that, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. So, if you ask me, I think it will be better to follow hygiene norms wherein you can have hand wash sinks around you, which are at very convenient locations, and people can keep washing their hands every few minutes or after every 15-20 minutes or something like that. And dependence on using soap and water should be more than using these sanitizers, so to say, because they are chemicals at the end of the day. The thing is that also from a planning perspective, it will be important to have these hygiene stations in place in a restaurant or in a workplace everywhere, not only for customers, but for the back of the house people as well, so that they can actually use them. If they're there, then they can use them. If they're not there, then they will not be using them.
Right, right, right. So clearly there is some sort of intervention which can actually make a difference, and rather a sea change in how people can perceive a brand, and make the visit to their favorite restaurant slightly more trustworthy in these times where the pandemic is at large and people are confused about the dining experience. So I would like to bring in Mr. Ajay Khanna. Mr. Khanna, what do you think it takes for the back end to put this all together? Like, would you think the supply chains are hit? Would the operations would have to kind of take the hit for it and plan for it ahead?
There's a lot of work which needs to be done. Today in India, most of the restaurants have a very kind of sketchy supply chain management system.
Right.
They have one storekeeper and he's basically responsible for sending out POs and receiving stuff. There are no systems to control what comes in. There is no space to keep what comes in. Stuff keeps lying out in the open. Just don't, going back to design of back of the house, people just do not design the restaurant for an adequate storage space.
Right.
All that would have to get built in. Importantly, you need to forge much stronger ties with your entire, we have learned all these happy buzzwords saying channel partners and whatnot, but we strictly treat our vendors as our suppliers. Mal aaya hai, rakh lo, jao. And the other transaction is the payment issues. That's it. Now, I think you'll have to extend a whole chain backwards to them, review their premises actually.
Right.
And not only just review it with a point of enforcing a danda, but review it so that you educate them as well. And the, like you have in manufacturing, you have something called GMP, good manufacturing practices.
Right.
It's a norm now. I think it's high time we will build up GHP, which is good hygiene practices.
Right.
For the restaurant business, we need to do that, which will extend right back to my supplier's warehouse, his manufacturing. Where is he receiving from? What is he following? It's like doing a root cause check, going right to the first point where your stuff has moved and coming to your kitchen, because you don't know at what stage, what kind of contamination can happen. And COVID, unfortunately, is a very simple touch contamination. There's no hi-fi contamination required, It doesn't require a gestation period like a salmonella or any other food bacteria.
Right.
It requires a touch. So building that whole supply chain, the cleanliness of the supply chain is very important.
Right, right. So I think that's a very, very important point, that cleanliness of supply chain is very important. And obviously, once you talk about the cleanliness part, the packaging and the way things are transported, the journey of food comes into play. So I would quickly like to bring in Amit here. Amit, what do you think the disposable, and the compostable packaging solutions are doing to make and, make it possible for supply chains and also the the journey of food to the customer and to finally to the table, more hygienic?
See, while apart from the manufacturing processes which are completely hygienic, for example, at Chuck, we have everything which is no touch policy. So machines are totally automated. They are treated with UV before they are packed into compostable bags. The other thing is what the restaurants as well as the customers have to realize is that the experience would change, and the experience will come up with certain issues in the starting, wherein they are experiencing things which are the way are different. If you start expecting something like a fiber to behave, a natural fiber to behave like a plastic, it is an extremely incorrect expectation, because
Right.
that is not going to happen. The other thing is, which even us are doing and a lot of other players are trying to do, is come up with solutions which can work for delivery, but there are certain shortcomings which will be there.
Right.
I think what even the restaurants which have to start thinking about is not only how to get the customers in, they also have to start thinking about how to protect their employees.
Correct.
So it's going to be a both ways. So if you, as Ajay ji also pointed out, if you're using disposables, that is a protection to both the sides, because Sumit is right that you will not be changing gloves every now and then. It is going to be a huge cost if you're changing your gloves every now and then with each and every customer. So that means if you're using the same glove to hold the same plates which are being used by another customer, and then you're touching something else, you're basically creating the same problem. So here the compostable industry and the disposable industry comes into play. We only request all the players and the manufacturers to go lesser on the plastics, simply because right now the amount of plastic which is being used in the industry, in the PP industry, in the hospital industry, is way too high for us as an earth to consume. And the degradation is not going to happen. The recyclability is not going to happen. Globally, if you see, we are very less in terms of the plastic recycling. So the compostable industry is going to basically has to pitch in, and they are all pitching in. So there are solutions available for takeaways, for deliveries, for dine-ins, everything.
Right.
And the food looks beautiful. There is no aroma transfer which is happening, so that the chefs don't have a problem. We in fact are working with a lot of brands into this scenario only. We are working with international brands to change even the food manufacturing processes from plastic to a more compostable solutions. So there are a lot of work which has been done in the past 3 years, and there is a lot which is coming in. But the change has to start happening for the next 3 to 4 months to protect both the sides, even the employees as well as the customers.
Right. Yeah, we keep talking about safety of customers, managing the customers in a sanitized environment. I think it's very important to look at the staff as well. Even the staff should feel assured to come and work every day to be able to deliver, and we have to also safeguard their health in terms of interaction with all sorts of products which are coming in, or even the customers who are walking in at the restaurant. So clearly the dining experiences has to be changed, has to be rethought of. Ravi, looking at the dining experience, like like Amit mentioned, the cutlery and the serveware, sanitation and menu cards. So how do you redefine something like this in current context, Ravi?
So Kajal, right now we are focusing more on the delivery side of the business.
Right.
I think dining is an area which will take some more time to understand and to get ready to open up to the customers. So we are looking at various policies which other players are following, what experts are recommending, and what governments are coming up, and also what kind of strategies other countries are following. So
Right.
we want to take a very close look of those policies, and only then open it up for the customers for the dining. So we are not in a hurry as far as dining is concerned. Right now, our core business focus stays on the delivery part of the business. So there we are making sure that our entire supply chain and the food preparation, it remains as contactless as possible, and wherever there is a contact, right sanitization methods are adopted so that nothing gets transferred to the food or the packet, which is handed over to the customers. So that remains a core area for our business, and we actually wait to hear from other experts about how do we get ready to open up dining for the business for the customers.
Right. What?
I think Karnataka today
Yeah.
has said that all restaurants and bars and everything and malls will open from 1st of June.
Yeah.
So I think most of the other states will also follow, and the kind of people, I'm basically seeing that a lot of people who are going to offices, a lot of people who started traveling. I think it will be sooner than later that the dine-in will have to start focusing on the dine-ins as well, because the customer will want to move out because they have been staying in home for last 2 months. And
so coming to the dining experience, so Ravi, I would just like to ask you a question, like how can design interventions help in planning our restaurants for the post-lockdown world? Like how will the front of house new normal look like? Like, can you please enlighten us on that?
So Arnav, actually, we would like to hear more from you on that, and we would like to connect with you offline also on that. So,
Okay.
like you well captured in your initial presentation,
Yeah.
that there are those critical areas which need to be prepared well for the customers and also for the workers, for our staff, there in the restaurant all the time. So those changes, we would like to hear more from the experts, and then take it up to the customers.
Right. So moving on, I would like to also bring in, Sumit here. Sumit, with front of house changing, the way the dining experience are now going to evolve, what do you think, the situation of menu planning would be? Do you see that menus becoming smaller or evolving to match this requirement? The plates, the kind of, plating you were doing earlier, does that get impacted? And how do you see it evolving now?
See, definitely when we are working under some certain constraints of the condition today, shortening the menus, limiting the work thereof, therefore at the back of the house, makes a lot of sense. And it will curtail a lot of processing of food. It will curtail a lot of staff, which doesn't excess staff that you don't need in the kitchens.
Right.
It will definitely help the situation. And there will be lesser material, lesser pots and pans which will be used, so definitely it will help. But in addition to that, there is a lot of things which need to be done at the back of the house.
Yes.
The reason is that back of the house is not visible to the customer, and what is visible to him is front of the house, which you will definitely work on, and it will give a lot of confidence to the customer. But we need to work on the back of the house, because we need to show our employees, our teams as well. They have to be very, very confident about coming to work. If they are confident, they'll definitely pass that confidence on to their customers as well.
That's
And
right.
to do that, what we are asking is not to move the earth over here. We're just saying go back to the basics, and these basics have always been there in the industry. It's
Right.
just that they have not been followed to the hilt or to the T.
Right.
Maybe people were not aware, they were not guided into the place, or the place that they made was not ready to accept those change, take those certain points into it. So these things have been either missing, or even if they're there, maybe they're not being used. And what we are asking for is not a whole lot of things. We just need small little things, and everything that you need to do that function. For example, in coming times, at the back gate where people enter and the men material enter, you need to scan people for the temperature.
Right.
Now a thermometer has to be there. You can't have a thermometer lying somewhere else and somebody goes looking for it and brings it there. Similarly, everybody who's entering, and if they're supposed to be wearing masks, we need to have a little holder there which keeps this PPE stuff ready, so that they can pick it up from there itself. And these things are normally missing. If I go to a lot of kitchens, and it's a habit that I used to ask them for a comfort cap, and many a times this dispenser was not there at the appropriate place, and they went looking for it all over, and they would not find it, and after 2 minutes sheepishly they would say, okay, come in, we'll handle this. Now you've broken a rule. So if it is there and it is empty, somebody will is tend to notice that, and they'll put in more of these disposables there, and it can be used when it has to be. So similarly, a hand wash sink, a hand wash station, we just can't live with just one of them in the entire kitchen, depending upon the size. So we need to probably position them at appropriate places. So
Right.
these will have to be done, and people who are working also need the same safety as our customers. We
Right.
have to respect that, and that also needs to be given. And it's only something, and this is something which will be for time to come. It's just not for today. It's not for COVID-19 pandemic. It's for the lifetime of a restaurant that it is going to be there. that these hygiene and safety and sanitation measures are put into the back of the house and they are followed as they are designed to do.
Right. You know what, Asmit, you're mentioning a very, very interesting point, which is very, very basic in achieving, a basic level of hygiene is the decluttering part of it. Decluttering the back of house and front of house.
Yeah,
Would you like to talk about that?
See, I am, in my opinion, it's best to put some kind of a, a 3-net kind of a safety for the back of the house.
Right.
In which the one element which needs to be covered is the employees. When they're coming in, first of all, you need to, check them and do all the stuff that they're, everything, their personal hygiene, their grooming. Nobody has visible symptoms of this COVID-19 with them. So they
Right.
need to be, we need to check on them and let them in. Second comes in your material which is coming in. And as we're saying that the virus can be, transferred through surfaces, then we need to hold the stuff, whatever is coming in. We need to eliminate anything which doesn't look right to us there and then and not let it enter into the kitchen.
Right.
And so on and so forth, there are certain things. Now comes the third and the most important part where this decluttering comes in. It's very, very important to follow a principle of what we call as clean as you go. We have to get organized in a place of work that we work. We can't throw everything around and, work with whatever and leave everything. And the more stuff that you have, you tend to use it and then you have to clean it as well. So this is the time that we need to see what we really, really use and we declutter the kitchens of what we don't use very, very often. And you will be surprised. Yeah, I mean, try this even at your homes right now. You'll be able to take away so many pots and pans. You'll be surprised with yourself. And the less you have, you will be forced to clean it immediately and again use it. If you have 4 extra items, you just keep throwing it into the dishwashing and pot washing area, thereby, increasing the amount of work for somebody else and also giving, making a red area, which we call as cleaning areas or red areas. You're leaving a lot of unhygienic stuff there, on which microorganisms can grow. So
Right.
if we reduce the stuff, we're going to clean it and use it, clean it, and again reuse it. If we have extra stuff, then we will keep piling it up, and that's where these viruses and bacteria actually grow. So it's very, very important to declutter your place, your back of the house particularly, because that's where most of the problems are going to come up.
Right. So, that's exactly my point of view as well. And I feel very positive about it, that even though we don't want to do something, extremely, out of the box, but yet small changes, can
Small change.
actually make a huge difference with, interesting tiny design details where you can rearrange the back of house, rearrange the front of house, see how you can improve customer perception in, viewing you as a trustworthy brand. So Ajay, I would like to, ask you, what do you think is being COVID compliant? There's a word which we kind of been talking about. So, how does it work in scenario of dine-in and takeaways now?
So Kajal, having designed a lot of kitchens, base kitchens, front of the house, worked with a lot of good people like you, I think it's not going to happen with small changes.
Right.
Maybe I'm a little bit of a doomsday guy in the sense a lot of the restaurant business is going to shut down, a lot of it.
Right.
And honestly, my feeling when I talk to people, I don't think we'll see a lot of our local restaurants coming back at all.
Right.
Even if they own the place. I have been given a logic by a lot of people, "Arey nahi sir, if you own the place, we'll survive it." It will not.
Right.
It requires major changes. One thing which most restaurants don't even bother about is the air handling system. You put in split ACs, they will fight with you as the interior person or the architect.
That's it.
They never want to put in a proper system. They don't understand what is air changes. If you ask them now to increase air changes per hour, it's like Greek. So, and it will cost money. A lot of these small places which you hang 3 ACs and you get away with it. We have, I don't know where this thumb rule in life came from, 1 ton per 100 square feet. Chalo sir, AC ho gaya. I can see you smiling. So you heard that so many times. Why do you need a professional person to calculate the heat load?
Right.
Why do you need the air balancing? When we speak to restaurant owners, say you need somebody to get in and come in and do the air balancing. He says, what is this? Aap kis liye ho? So what I mean is that a lot of changes will have to be done. I think in the front of the house, you'll have to bring in a lot of new innovative stuff. Back of the house, for me, innovation is going to be putting your kitchen up for view to every customer who wants to log in.
Right.
Very, you may not want to show him the dishwashing. I'll be a little gentle on that part.
Right.
One part of my company also runs 6 delivery kitchens, so I understand all those pains. But I think you'll at least have to give the pickup counter over to the customer now. If I can see what's happening on that, I am happy. If I can't see, I don't know what's going on.
Right, right.
Similarly, in the front of the house, I think we'll have to encourage customers for dine-in especially to come and pick up their food, come and pick up their cutlery, sanitize it using maybe ultraviolet boxes.
Boxes, that's right.
Market.
That's a very,
Think
very
about
good
getting ultraviolet handheld wands to clean up chairs once people get up from them.
Right.
You know, sponge a chair every time I get up from it. It's not practical. It's going to be wet. The next person will not like it. Slowly, the cloth that you're using may not be wet. So things like that, I think we have to be very, very fast and very, very innovative. We barely have about 2 months.
Right.
Like Amitji was saying, Karnataka is allowing its restaurants to open. I'm still thinking in terms of the fact that you have about 60 days before customers really start coming in.
Coming in, that's right.
You know, there'll be an experimental person who'll walk in, walk away.
Right.
So we need to do a lot of this stuff very quickly. Therefore, it's going to cost a little bit of money, 100%. You will have to have these things in.
Right, right, right.
I'm counting as hygiene factors now. You know, using sodium hypochlorite, using all kinds of stuff, Suma tab to wash your vegetables, which, like Sumit said, these ought to have been done earlier as well. I mean, these were standard part of our industry, but they've always been ignored. Now we have to go do this in any case and go one step further. I'm in fact advising a couple of clients. We're looking at either getting these ultraviolet stuff. A lot of these boxes are already being manufactured now in India. But we're looking at handheld wands to be either brought in or built by the same vendors. You will have to do stuff which people will find very, very safe. It's no longer a question of very safe. It's a question of very, very safe. And I think this will continue. It's not that COVID will
Right, right.
not go away so easily.
Go away very soon. Yes, yes, definitely. It's here to stay with us. And yeah, like you rightly said, you know,
goes away, maybe something else will come in, you know, now. So COVID is a very great lesson to all of us, especially in our business, that it's a you know, chhoot ki bimari. If you may use the word, it's that bad.
Right.
So we have to now be prepared for it and work accordingly. So changing air handling systems will have to happen. I mean, you cannot live in the same room. You've seen a lot of these small restaurants which come up, they put in 2 split ACs and the story ends over there. The same air is getting circulated internally. Now someone comes in, he comes in with a mask, he comes in with gloves, but to eat food, I have to take it off. And if I am a symptomatic carrier, I mean, what will you do? Will you pick him up and throw him out? All of this. So how can you safeguard your future customer is making sure the air is proper. You can make sure the crockery, cutlery is sterilized. You could even have stuff like even a microwave in a casual dining business. Microwave your crockery at least. Cutlery can't be done. Cutlery, you'll have to use a UV case. So we are finding a lot of this stuff for some of our clients already.
Right. So I just wanted to know, like, there are 2 parts of the story. One is planning the new restaurant with all the systems in place. Now there are a lot of restaurants which are already designed and they're planning to open again. So there are these changes which have to be adapted, right?
Yes.
You know, to the current scenario, wherein you know, whether it's the front of house which has to go innovative in terms of the signages, the guidelines, sanitizations, and making sure there's enough decluttering which has happened, and you know, multiple such you know, contactless solutions, and similarly the back of house. But then, what do you think the existing restaurants can do? Like,
the easiest thing for existing restaurants, one is to do the CCTV part for their pickup counter. Make sure that their staff also toes the line even when they're not around,
right.
and confidence to the customer. That's the easiest thing for back of the house to be done.
Right.
apart from like the regular COVID things, like the hygiene things.
Right.
Front of the house, I think the only thing which you can do very fast and very quickly is getting in these ultraviolet C. UV has different range for sterilization. Getting in these UVC boxes and UVC wands. That is the easiest I can look at from a procurement perspective, which can be easily available, let's say in the next 15 to 20 days. And air conditioning is going to be the toughest thing to handle in an outlet which is running on split AC.
Correct. Correct. That's the most complicated part.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but see, if you don't do it, people will not come in.
So I have one question which I wanted to ask. I mean, both to Sumitji and Ajayji as well as Ravi. Do you think that the consumer would become more patient in terms of how the food is being prepared? Because as of now, the expectations generally is, that once you placed an order, the food will be there on your table in like 15 minutes. But with the changes, with this lesser equipment, more washing, as well as food being generally prepared much fresher, do you think that the customer would understand and the time it takes for the food to arrive on the table would change, in fact increase? And two, would the customer be ready to pay for all of these as an extra because it is for their own safety, or do you think that they'll still want the same pricing?
No,
And the
my answer to that would be that nobody would want to pay extra, because even before Corona times, they expected the food to be safe. So whatever has to be done to give a food safely to me has to be done. I will not pay you extra for that. About patience, I would say, if you're informed when you're placing an order that your pizza will take 15 to 20 minutes, people can wait to that. So you would know in your new world today how much time is it going to take you to serve a particular dish. So as long as you inform the customer that it is going to take so much time, they will be patient. But they can't wait endlessly for it, of course. So they will come with, everybody will come with that expectation that yes, it's going to be taking a little more time. Just like if you want to be boarding a flight today, it'll be taking more time on the airports, I'm sure, because it's so. Similarly, the same thing will happen in a restaurant as well. I think the customer should be okay with that. It should not be, and the waiting period should not go up too much as well. The cost should not get hampered with what's going to happen in the new world today. Is just that this is some of them are consumable, some of them are like, for the times to come. So I don't think these costs should be passed on over to the customer in any case whatsoever. So this will not be expected by the customer. So he will not like to pay extra for that.
Very interestingly, Ashish had mentioned that how, there's one way that you can do live streaming to show the customer that the food is being prepared. A lot of people may agree or disagree with something like that, whether customers want to see how food is being prepared, I don't know. But then if we reverse the process of putting a screen inside while the chef is preparing and somebody's, already giving their order at the counter and he gets to know and he's already started to prepare, you can reduce the time of, turnaround. And again, save that, 7-minute turnaround, to make sure the crowding doesn't happen at the front of house at all. So even though smaller changes can happen, I think even some intelligent interventions where, maybe the staff at back of house already knows what is to be prepared and can at least start to do it in advance through these, technological interventions, maybe that can be more informative and more adaptive.
Kajal, honestly speaking, I don't think.
Kajal, already they have launched these apps in the US, and some of these companies have started operating where for a takeaway service, they are offering people to place the order, prepay, and geofencing. That means as soon as that customer's phone comes within 200 feet of the kitchen, the in the kitchen that the customer is walking in. So they absolutely keep it on the ball. And I think takeaway is going to be a huge, what shall I say, potential business area now in India as well.
Right.
We've already been hampered by the lack of parking and stuff like that. Takeaway is always a pain. But I think that's a very big potential area which a lot of casual dining restaurants will have to survive on and perfect this art. And this kind of intervention will be required even for a dine-in. I can order on the way from my house, for example, and as long as I prepay for the meal, I'm sure the restaurant is more than happy to block a table, and the restaurant will have to be happy actually.
Right.
Table and keep it ready. So those You can cut down the time.
Time.
Requires maturity of the customer as well. And Indian customers, Amit, are not very patient people as a general rule. You know, we are always in a hurry because we are always caught up in traffic. We are always caught up. We are always late for meetings. We are always catching up. We are always messages. Call you back in 10 minutes. I'm busy. Or I'm just coming in for the meeting. So sorry, got caught in traffic. How many times we've all done it? I've done it a lot of times, you know. And then I started planning my meeting saying, okay, if I have to reach somewhere at 11, let me target bloody 10:30. Because otherwise, you started feeling embarrassed. And people do this all the time. I'm sure you had this done to you. People tell you, tomorrow, sir, I'll call you at 11. Then they don't call you. At 11:30, they call and say, is it okay to talk now? So, you know, our nature is not such. So I don't think the patience part is going to be it's going to take time to achieve that. I think we'll have to do the IT interventions like Karthik pointing out, where you somehow cut down the time that when you are in my restaurant. It's also good from an infection perspective. If you don't come to my restaurant before your food is ready, you are exposed to less people, surfaces in my restaurant. So maybe stuff like that is better. I pre-order and when I land up, my food lands up.
Right.
Get to spend instead of the 1 hour on a meal, I get to spend actually 30 minutes in the restaurant, which may work better because restaurants are going to have less covers. So you need a faster turnaround. So yes, certain of these IT interventions, I'm sure Ashish, I wish he had joined in, he would have been able to help us a lot. But I have read about them that in the US already a lot of people have come out with stuff like this. And I'm sure that technology gets transferred today on a daily basis. It'll happen very fast over here.
No, absolutely right. There are lots of new IT interventions, whether it's ordering through a QR code, through an app, through online website system. Things can become much more faster, more efficient, and it can actually be easily integrated in current scenarios. It's just that we need to figure out how you want to do it and what is your format and how feasible it is for your format to adapt it. Doing all these things and making sure the customer is happy and satisfied. I would also like to ask Ravi, how difficult is it to keep the morale of workers up, during this time? Ravi, what do you think? Like, back of house, the chefs, the workers who are working.
I think as far as workers are concerned, most important thing. Yeah. No, I think something which many organizations tend to lose during these times is ensuring right and transparent communication with the workers. So come what may, you have to ensure that you keep right communication with your entire team, because you are a family and you have to be together. And when you are together, you have to be very, very transparent, because things are changing. The moment lockdown was announced, all the outlets, they were shut down. So nobody had any clue when we are going to open up. When government allowed delivery, again, we re-strategized, okay, how many outlets, which locations, where we'll be allowed to operate, our cloud kitchen business or not. So all those things, you have to keep your team very close to you and ensure right amount of communication, because I think that is one key reason. If you miss on the communication with your employees, that is the biggest moral dampener for the employees. So that is the most important thing. And they are also generally worried about, future of the organization. Things are changing, especially during the times when you hear a lot of bad things about the industry. So people say, 40-45% of the restaurants will never come back. So they are worried about their future and the future of the organization. So whatever strategies you prepare, you re-strategize them every day. You need to keep your workforce fully communicated and aware of that. So they need to be made aware. That is first thing. Second, you have to empathize with your employees during these tough times. So for example, we had a lot of our team members who are stuck in their hometown. So they needed certain help. There were certain employees who were facing problem, reaching out to their outlets only, and they had a desire to come to work. So these are the times when you need to empathize, you need to ask them for whatever help they need, and you need to provide right amount of help to them. I think that is most important thing. If those things are taken care of, I think workers are generally fully energized to work, because lockdown, nobody wants to stay at home. Everybody wants to come back to work, and you have to make sure you take care of their safety, whatever safety norms government has asked to follow. Whatever you can think of and whatever they think is right for them, those should be followed. And if those things are done, I think workers, they are, energized enough and they won't come to work. So that is one thing which we have followed at WQSI.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you, Ravi, on that front. Businesses are now opening up across Europe, and we see restaurants opening up. People are, devising new measures to, make it look good and not like really out of place. At the same time, in blending it in with the, format they follow. So, obviously the staff also has to be, confident enough to be following these protocols. Their safety is paramount because they are also interacting with customers coming and meeting them.
Yeah.
Talking about the same thing, Amit, I would like to bring you in here and ask you, like, how is the current scenario, evolving now, with the disposables and with the, biodegradable packaging materials coming in, the journey of food, whether it is from the takeaway or finally on the front of house, how is that changing? How do you see that, the whole concept of looking at your food differently has evolved?
See, the one thing which is going to simply change is how the customers look at food and the presentation of it. So while you had multiple options in terms of colors and everything, but right now the safety will take the prime importance. So if you are going to look for customers who are looking towards a more greener and healthier solutions, even if you look at the today's consumer, most of them are talking about more healthier food which is being served to them. So it's not going to only to be limited on the food part. It is also going to be how it is served and it is healthier or not only for themselves, but also for the planet. See, one thing which has happened is in the last 2 months when everybody has been home, a lot of people have been studying up on how the green revolution is coming up. So one thing which we have realized is that not only the consumer, but the corporates are also talking about it. Even, bigger clients, like they have 1 lakh employees who are working for them. They are talking about making the shift from a cutlery driven usage to a more compostable driven usage, because they don't want to be adding more plastic waste to the whole industry. So for us as a compostable industry, the not only just the dine-ins which are coming up, it's only the hotels, even the 5-star hotels are actually looking at these options to move to the front of the house. For the customers to be served in their rooms as well as in the cafeterias or during breakfast and lunch and dinner. So that shift is already happening.
Amit, there's also a question about waste disposal now. Like, if you have a lot of disposable items there are, which are being served even dine-in restaurants. So there's a question about how are we managing waste disposable in such environment, with the virus around.
See, that's the point. If you're using a compostable product, the waste disposable is not a problem.
Right.
One, for example, all our products are backyard compostable. So
Right.
within 90 days, they will turn to manure. But if you're using a plastic or a styrofoam or a thermocol as it is known use, that will not biodegrade into anything for the next 500 years. So the more waste which you are having with you, which is not biodegradable or compostable, the bigger problem you have. For example, all compostable products which are made from sugarcane, they can be thrown away with the food waste into a composter. If you talk about the bigger restaurants, all of them have been advised by the governments to put up composters, especially those with kitchens. So a composter of 250 kgs actually can turn out the food waste as well as the compostable products into manure in less than 2 to 3 days, instead of the 90 days, which is at the backyard compostables. So that change is also going to happen. The government is also going to come back on the industry. That's an additional cost which they will have to bear in coming up with the composters installed at their facilities, especially for restaurants who are maybe more than 50 to 100 seaters, because they are going to generate that waste. They are already generating that waste. So that is going to happen.
That's not going to be very feasible, Amit. Already, you see, the government changed its policies on ETP, reducing the ETP requirement to 900 square feet or 36 feet, whichever is lower of the two. And
right.
Practically what has happened is it has not happened on ground. It's just given way to a lot more corruption. So putting in composters, I can understand for hotels, yes. And maybe, malls where you have restaurant aggregators, so to say, or malls which are restaurant aggregators. But imagine a 50-seater restaurant. What size, Sumit, for a 50-seater restaurant, ballpark? 1,000 square feet?
Yeah,
Size.
approximately.
Sorry, what did you say?
The point is, sir,
What's the
it is
size
not,
of a restaurant? I mean, in terms of size for a 50-seater restaurant, covered
We
area.
have about 1,000 plus, just about
Yeah.
it.
So these composters and all going to be difficult. I mean, I'm not even talking about the money spending part of it. I'm talking about the area.
no. So the point is, you are assuming that the compost, every restaurant would maybe need to have a composter. What I'm
Yes.
saying is that probably there are industries, there are companies who are putting up composting facilities. So the system would change, wherein the disposal of all of these products, including the food waste site, which is common for everybody. I'm not saying that every restaurant might be forced to put up a composter, which is
Okay.
going to be very, very difficult. But
Find
the
it for
common
them.
composting site, as of now, what happens is, a garbage wala comes and then he takes away all your garbage. Most of the restaurants don't even care whether it is actually going to a commercial site, which is the right norm as per the municipal corporations, or it is going to the domestic garbage centers. So that's one of the biggest challenges. So that will come into picture, that the entire supply chain will start fixing up all of those issues,
No.
which were supposed to be there earlier, but now they will be
Yes.
forced upon. So my only point is, again, then
another-
the cost will increase.
That's another
And then-
important thing. The government has to step in. A lot of these statutory are now to be enforced. It's like the FSSAI department. It's a joke. I hope they don't come to catch me, but it's a joke. They need to really step up their act and make sure that restaurants operate. You need to define that if it's 1,000 square feet restaurant, 300 square feet has to be a kitchen area. Maybe 150 square feet has to be a garbage area, or 50 square feet. So the statutory norms have to start getting, the government has to get very active, and garbage collection is 100% a part of that. Taking on from what Amit said, it's like in my house now there is a mandate. We have to give garbage in 3 separate bins. But that's because my society demands it. But in the market, yes, we're just happy as a restaurateur that anybody collects garbage. Thank you so much, sir. Le jaiye kaam. So these things, I think the government also has to really step up its act to help the COVID and beyond COVID, the hygiene perception of the business per se, the whole restaurant business per se.
Right.
Absolutely. See, I think even the portals which had started the hygiene ratings, whether it is Dineout, Zomato, and Swiggy, they will also have to really step in and understand, are they being audited in the true sense that they're supposed to be, or it is just an audit, and it is more for increasing the sales, because it will change. I'm sure Ravi can pitch in and tell us about how they are managing at their end, and how the hygiene basically takes care of it.
Ravi, you want to tell us what is the safety stamp from Zomato and Swiggy?
So I think you're talking about safety stamp of Zomato and Swiggy. So what?
Yeah, I'm just as an example on safety certification.
Yeah. So I think what is happening from Zomato and Swiggy side. That's like just a trailer. More detailed things are happening inside. And in fact, we have seen a lot of players where we believe they are not following those hygiene standards. They still have those tags, and we took some time to get those tags for our products. So in terms of hygiene, first thing is your back kitchen. So how you are receiving your material. You have to take care of sanitization of the material that you are receiving. Its handling during the production time, and while packaging it and handing over to the delivery boy, you are maintaining proper sanitization of everybody who is touching it. That is one criteria which they are following. Second is regular temperature checks. In fact, they've also launched an application. So every day, 3 times, your outlet employees who are dealing with the food, they have to update their temperature in that application. I think that is a very good thing which they have started. So that is second. Third, everybody should be wearing proper masks. They should be using proper gloves. Gloves, though we have a different view, like Sumit also mentioned, because if using the same glove, you are coming in contact with 10 different people, and you're not sanitizing that glove. right? So I think perception changes at times. So glove is something, which one has to follow because there is a requirement for the industry from the industry. But then you have to make sure that you either keep on changing that glove or sanitizing your hand even during the time when you're wearing the glove. So Swiggy Zomato, their health and hygiene stamp covers only these 3-4 aspects. But I think what is more important is how clean and hygienic is your outlet, where food is being handled, because they cannot come and check, how many times you cleaned the common surfaces which are being touched by the delivery boys, by the employees. So those things one has to take care of on its own. We have a quality assurance team which is keeping a very close tab on all these quality checks. All our outlets and delivery kitchens, they are camera equipped. So we have increased the surveillance because it is not possible for of our team members, to go to the outlet because they are based out of Delhi. Outlet is in Gurgaon. So wherever it is not possible to visit outlet more often, they are doing a remote surveillance. We have increased reporting requirements on the hygiene parameters, where outlet needs to report at least 3 to 4 times in a day on certain health and hygiene parameters. And people who are staying near to the outlets, because we have to take care of their health also. People who are staying near to the outlets, they have been given a checklist. So they visit the outlets and they perform very quick health and hygiene audits. And now, because the border has opened up, the Delhi Gurgaon, and we are largely present in Gurgaon right now. So all our team members, they are able to go to the outlets, and they are doing very thorough quality checks of all these health and hygiene parameters to make sure nothing gets there is no lapse in the health and hygiene safety.
Ravi, you talked about the everything related to the incoming. We were actually wanting your views on the outgoing as well. The disposal system. So whatever, how we are managing that, because that's also a problem area. There is a lot of whether it is garbage or it is cutlery or is it washing water. All of these are also carriers.
Yeah.
So it's not only the incoming but the outgoing as well, which has to be handled. I think a lot of the restaurants are only focused, even including Swiggy, and everybody is only focusing on what is coming in, rather than thinking about also how the rest of the stuff is going to be managed. So Sumeji, are you getting queries on those lines?
Yeah.
In terms of dispensing the food back to the customer, is that what you're asking?
Dispensing the food for the dine-ins as well. How do you manage the rest of the stuff? Because once the customer has eaten and gone out, the entire sanitation, the entire management also will come into play.
See, for the dine-in, again, the threat is coming with the customer and going out with the customer as well. So when he comes in, like Ajay was saying that these UVC wands can probably disinfect. But Ajay, honestly, the UVC takes about 25 minutes to, start working on a surface to get it disinfected. So I don't know if the wands will really work. But then there are fabrics around now which have these antimicrobial properties which kill a virus, and it is working on most of the human coronaviruses as well. Within 10 minutes, it kills the virus on it, or any germicidal or any other bacteria also for that matter. In the new normal, I think these upholsteries and your table linen or even the staff uniform, they'll have to be used with this technology which is now coming out, wherein while manufacturing any such textile, these can be incorporated with silver or copper fibers, which handle this problem. So one is that. So when somebody comes in, sits on your seat, eats and goes back, neither he gives something back to your restaurant, neither he takes anything away from the restaurant. One is that. But yes, earlier when you said that whatever packaging that you make gets UV exposed and then it is packed into packets. And Ajay also said that, what about the air conditioning and so on and so forth. Uh, Taking a cue again from Ajay's point that, we've been treating our suppliers like vendors like suppliers and not partners. Herein, I think we'll have to do a little bit of a back end integration where every vendor will have to start giving some kind of a certification that, whatever I've supplied to this business has been, taken care in all senses, so that none of these viruses and bacteria have been transferred to the outlet. Okay, for example, your stuff, whatever comes to you. So if you can, issue a little bit of a small certificate to a F&B outlet that, they buy from us, and our stuff is, certified that it is absolutely neat and clean, packed in hygienic conditions, so and so forth. Similarly, aircon supplier of that particular restaurant gives them that this has been checked and certified. Since FSSAI can't be, I'm sorry to say, but trusted so much in today's scenario, they need to either hire third-party people who can go into the restaurants and do these checks for the restaurants and certify that this has been done. I hear about a lot of such checks done internationally, and the most stringent ones are in Middle East, I'm told. Where people are really worried about, these people coming down to their places, checking them, and if they're not doing the right stuff, they are shut immediately, and it's done to the hill, particularly in the Middle East. And something like that will have to be done here. Only then these problems will be taken care of.
Absolutely.
But again, I mean, there is no Brahmastra to, handle this problem. We will have to take it as it comes. We will have to understand that it is here to stay till the time we don't get a cure and a vaccination for it. That we can infect people and we can be infected by anybody around us. So we have to take all the precautions that we must, so that we don't either infect somebody or get infected from somebody. So that will continue to happen. Keep those, security nets around you, so that as far as possible, we are not. But that should not stop you from coming into a restaurant. We'll have to tell our customers that, if you can accept a delivery from your big basket or from your milk basket or from your local kirana store, then they can accept a delivery from our restaurant also. We are as, probably a restaurant will be taking in more due diligence than probably a kirana store is taking in today. So we have to just ensure Swiggy, Zomato on their part will have to have inspectors who ensure that, because their riders are like, drivers who are sitting at any place. No, but they do not go and report to somebody. I think this is the time that they need to start putting hubs where these people report every day and they are tested for their temperature. And we make sure that these people are not going to go ahead and cause the problem. What happened in Malviya Nagar case, where there's somebody who had this problem for 1 month went and picked up a pizza from another outlet and then delivered to so many families. So that person is not supervised right now. That person needs to get supervised to ensure that everything is happening.
What has happened now is that Swiggy and Zomato have transferred the onus of this to the restaurant owner.
But that will not happen, sir.
So at what they're doing now is that at every pickup, you have to take the temperature of the boy and note it in the app itself. Now, again, the question being the how true is it?
Yeah, because none of those infrared thermometers can be trusted anymore.
You're really willing to, force your team to do that. Yeah. I'm saying they built the highway. The highway. I'm not very happy with it, honestly, with delivery kitchen. In fact, I pushed back to Zomato saying, why are you putting your responsibility for your rider on us?
That's true.
So what happens if your rider comes up at 99 degrees temperature and my order is now ready?
What do I do?
And he's calling up his manager saying, sir, kya karu, uska temperature 99.
And he's right on that. Yeah.
So but also, is that really
feasible on a daily basis?
Also, is that really feasible to measure everyone?
It's not doable because it takes a while for that temperature to be taken. And then how, trustworthy is that instrument that is being used to take the temperature? So it's all a make-believe. It's all a make-believe. Let's face the fact. But like Ajay says that, yes, they've opened the highway. We just need to, make sure that these, checks and balances are on the way to ensure somehow that this is followed, and somehow if the app can be integrated, to take the temperature as well and actually take a picture of it and put it on that order that it has been taken. It's just not been put, because 99%, I think they must be just filling out those forms like the checklist behind the public close in any mall or something.
Right.
And in some things they've done well. For example, yesterday I received a trigger on my part of the what's it called, the promoter app of Swiggy.
Okay.
that at this outlet yesterday, the temperature of the staff has not been noted down in the orders.
Okay.
So, and I called up and I said, I asked my manager, I said, what happened? So of course, it took about half an hour. And then we were told, "Arey sir, wo kal chal nahi raha tha," thermometer types, you know. So then today, suddenly somebody went and purchased cells the moment I called in. But I'm saying these are the IT interventions which will have to happen, even for casual dining, even for restaurant business, even for takeaway, where we should embrace all this technology and use it very, very openly. And very importantly, I think it's also informing customers. Today, to me, the bigger challenge is going to be getting you, me, to have the courage to walk into a restaurant.
Right.
Once we embrace all this, it's very important that we talk about all this. All this should be available to customers.
Right. So Ajay, so what you're trying to also say is that, you know, building perception around the safety, making sure that even the IT interventions share a good intent and communicate with the customers better, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that can actually build confidence, and not only that, save time and make sure that, you know, customers are only exposed to a restaurant for the time they're required to be there for.
Absolutely. That's
Right.
what better can that be from a restaurant's perspective also.
Right.
How we calculate our revenue, how we project it is that how many times can I sell my table in a day?
Right.
If that time comes down from, let's say, 1 hour, 15 minutes to 30 minutes,
50 minutes, correct.
capacity to sell my restaurant more number of times,
Will be higher.
peak hours.
That's right. So actually, even if you're reducing number of covers to maintain social
You
distancing,
can take the
you
term
can
of
Probably
make it up with the help of IT
table
intervention
turnovers.
and booking slots in advance, making sure that, you know, your meal is ready. When you start from home, you just have to go and, you know, take it from a counter and, you know, consume it and then leave. So that also makes, you know, make sure that, you know, you're actually having more customers than a regular day, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that
That could be one way of catching up on this,
that's right.
reducing your number of covers in any case.
Right. You know, there's like, news from all across the world that hairdressers in Houston, Texas, installing screens to separate customers. You know, in Paris, Metro has already put, these yellow circles to keep the commuters 2 meters away, you know, in the waiting areas for the trains. In Brussels, a Mercedes car dealership has used wheels to, you know, mark the social distancing from the customers to the staff at the showroom. So I'm saying that, you know, people are doing all sorts of innovation, whether it is the front of house, back of house, maintaining the guidelines, or some sort of protocols to maintain sanitization, also integration of IT apps, IT interventions in terms of maybe including QR codes, or maybe also like, you know, looking at robots serving you in future. So it's
Yes.
probably
Why not? Why
I've
not?
always been intrigued with that. Yeah.
I'm totally in favor of that, Kaz.
right. So that probably is like the future of dining in and restaurants as we see. So Ajay, just to kind of wrap this up before we conclude it, you know, what is your advice to the upcoming restaurateurs or entrepreneurs in retail side? How do you see, you know, everything coming together for them? How should they plan in future?
I think first of all, and the bottom line is, please do it legally. Don't use cash. You know, what has happened today is that when you put up a case to the government saying that this is a sector which is not receiving any help, because on paper there is hardly any capitalization in it. Everybody builds a restaurant. How much did you spend on it? 2 crores. How much have you shown? 50 lakhs. I'm sorry. I'm being very upfront about it. And we all suffer. You as a service provider to the industry, you are asked to take payments in cash. You don't want to. So that's one part of it. Please do legal restaurants. Please do legal spaces. Always make sure that you can get licenses over there and not arrange licenses, you know.
Right.
So that is the first step. Anybody who wants to get into the business today, I can see Amit. I mean, it's a fact of life. And
No, sir, I have been there and I take pride in saying that I never paid any cops any money or a municipal corporation guys any money because I refused. I said, I have all the licenses. You want to sit here? You sit here. I am not paying any money. And I did not for 4 years of those operations. I refused, outrightly refused.
So that's the path forward. That's the first basic step. Do it legally and do it in a legal space so that you don't have to live with it every day, somebody coming threatening you every day. Second thing, please get your restaurant back area designed properly. Front area as much as front area, the back area, combine the two. Don't squeeze kitchen spaces. Biggest tendency of all restaurant owners is to squeeze the kitchen space. Am I right, Sumit?
And on that note, I often tell, and architects mostly, Kajal, if I may say so, that what are you going to do with those extra tables if you don't have a kitchen to serve that? And it's very, very important to, there is an optimization. There is a thumb rule between the ratio of what should be the kitchen versus what should be the feeding space. That is very, very important because otherwise you will end up facing these problems even without these pandemics. People are not asking these questions, but it's very important, and I hope the consumer starts getting aware of this, that what is their right. They should be asking for clean water, clean food, hygienic food, safe food. If the consumer does not ask for it, I'm sure nothing will even change now. It's very, very important for the consumer to stand up and ask for that, and then these things will fall into place automatically.
Right.
Design your back areas properly, have enough storage space, make sure your supply chain is in place, design your air flows. I think, like I said, a lot of people are going to shut, but all the new ones which come in, I hope they understand that this can't be a mom and pop store business any longer. One of the biggest problems with the restaurant business is it has a very low entry barrier. Everybody gets up and says, oh, I'm so passionate about cooking, I'm opening a restaurant. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. I've seen too many of them come and go. It just doesn't work because they have no clue. Or they say, I have a lot of money, let me open a restaurant, I'll get famous.
Yeah.
Those also don't survive because then they do not understand the operating costs of it before they get into the business.
Right.
So build a healthy model, build a healthy size, don't do too small a size. And if it doesn't work out, don't open it. It's okay. I think there are a lot of other businesses to open, but in the future, to have good restaurants only, clean restaurants, hygiene, which can last any pandemic. I mean, COVID is a big eye opener, yes. But anything which comes up like this, if even today our restaurants were in hygienic spots with hygiene factors, half of them wouldn't need to have been closed at all, even in this scenario. You would have had to only reduce the number of covers, number of interaction points. That's what I come at. I think designing and building process for the future, anybody who wants to get into it, they need to spend time and money on that.
Very well said, Ajay, on that part. The government was very confident that Kirana stores can't, spread the virus, but the restaurants definitely can. They know it, there is a problem, and they, therefore said, okay, shut these down.
Absolutely.
So I think that confidence, even to the government has to be given by operators, and that can only come if, things are planned properly, and all businesses are part of organized businesses and not mom and pop stores just come up every here and there. It's important, yeah.
Right.
I just have one query. I think a lot of restaurant friends who are listening to us would have the same. Do you guys think that the customer loyalty would increase? Because in the last 4-5 years, I have seen the industry. I think that's diminishing very fast, especially with the younger generation and the millennials. They don't want to stick to the same restaurants. Do you think now the customer loyalty would increase because once they get a hang of it, that this is safe for me, they would want to go back to the same, and hence all the IT and technology will actually help achieve that.
I think very well pointed, Amit. I think I agree with what Ajay and Sumit earlier mentioned, that the good guys who spend money, time on taking care of all the health hygiene factors, safety parameters, not taking any shortcuts, will be rewarded by greater customer loyalty. And I think those are the guys which will ultimately end up winning in the long run.
Right.
So I'm hoping the loyalty would increase. The consumer would actually favor going to the same restaurants like our parents used to do. They would go to the same place for like 10 years without making a change.
So, I mean, two things have happened. One, oversupply has happened definitely in the business, oversupply of availability. So once that cleans up, stickiness or loyalty, as you call it, will, I think, come back. Will come back. Right now, it is, I mean, the millennial generation is spoiled because of choice, oversupply. There's a restaurant opening up every day. There is an ad coming every day. There is someone giving you a cash back every day. They're living in that world.
True.
Right.
So it's like you said about your parents. I'm sure even you would have gone to certain restaurants fixed for many years. I have done that. There was a time when you would go, let's say, only to Fujia, for example, in Chanakyapuri for Chinese food. It was the go-to point. You would go there. That's it. And you would go less number of times, but you would only go there. So stuff like that. I think so. Stickiness will come back as supplies cleaned up. I'm not saying it's killed. It's cleaned up.
Yeah.
The survivors definitely, I'm sure, have better loyalty. Definitely.
So now the loyalty will be driven not only by taste and the service, it will be driven by hygiene and safety as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a good reason to actually spend on the restaurant business.
Amit, you were saying something, yes.
I said now that's a very, very important reason for people to actually spend up and improve on their restaurants, as Ajay as well as Sumit is pointing out, all the investments which are needed. Because in the longer term, they will get rewarded much more than the people who will not be ready to spend.
100%. 100%.
Right. So I think very positive responses coming from all across, whether it's F&B, packaging, people looking at operations. I think it's all about getting loyalty back to the restaurants, getting, the systems are in place as per the norms which are already existing. So some, quickly summarizing few takeaways from this discussion today. Definitely hygiene is a top requirement today, whether doing it by maintaining the regular norms and increasing the sanitization requirement at various steps, which is the journey of the food to the table or to your homes through the takeaway and dining restaurants. So there are two aspects of it where the restaurateurs, the entrepreneurs have to pitch in, have to relook at the way they plan their back of house, like Ajay rightly mentioned the air con, and Sumit mentioned about decluttering, planning it out, giving the staff the right kind of equipment, making sure it's planned in such a way that there are enough washing stations for them to keep cleaning their hands. Also, introducing the right type of cutlery, packaging, definitely something similar in terms of what Chuck is offering in terms of their disposable array of products, which are not only good for home delivery, but now also a sought after option for the dine-in restaurants as well. So, not only I think there are, problem areas, but I think there is a huge room to improve, and wherein people can come in, involve design and innovation and planning in a better way to make the existing formats better and the new ones to plan, ahead, so that, these kind of problems don't cripple you, don't, make you reinvent things at the later stage. So it's very, very important how, there's some interesting point of views which we saw in terms of introduction of new materials, new systems, introduction of IT systems to reduce the time of customers, also making sure the staff is becoming more efficient. Also, the turnaround time is becoming better through these smaller interventions and large. Not only saying that, the vendors of providing all these equipments are just providing material, but also participating with them in a dialogue to make them partners in the whole format designing process. So not only the designers, architects, but also the service providers, they put in their extra effort to make sure every detail is signed down. And obviously, each and every restaurant in today's space has extremely unique concept. They can work around it, they can build design solutions, because I think when you're looking at the front of house, you're looking at the marketing solutions, changing the perception of people to walk into your restaurant. It's very, very important that we use all these tools to propagate that at the right time. Like Ajay, you rightly mentioned, there's just 2 months which is left for restaurants to relook at the strategy slowly, as slowly and surely as Government of India has already started flight. I'm sure the restaurants will also open up QSR formats, CSR, casual dining, and fine dining. They all will look at reopening and inviting the customers back into the restaurants. Obviously, looking at the right type of measures, whether it is making sure the staff feels confident. I think that's extremely important. We are going to summarize all these points, and we'll be mailing it to all our, participants today as a synopsis. I would like to thank all our speakers for taking time out of their busy day to be part of the webinar and to share their expertise with the participants. I'm sure all the participants are very happy with the valuable insights you guys have brought in for future of restaurants. We are extremely positive that F&B industry is surely going to recuperate and get back with more creative solutions to offer. Hoping that our panelists also had a positive experience interacting with.
Absolutely, Kajal. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us over.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Amit. And thank you, Ravi. The information you shared has opened you, new doors to multiple possibilities, and we are very happy to, reply to all the queries. We'll be sending it across to individuals, as per specific questions, whether it's F&B, packaging, operations, to all of you guys. So for attendees, please make sure that you write into us for any queries you have. We'll definitely be getting back to you. I would like to leave you with few images which are across the world of how, people are, restaurateurs are reinventing ways and coming back to, business with innovative ways today. My sincere thanks to all the panelists in participating with such gusto. This is a picture from Coimbatore, a restaurant actually putting down the number of, staff members checked and body temperature, which is a very, very interesting intervention. So multiple such pictures are coming in from across the world. Very happy to have all of you here. Thank you so much. Hope to connect with all of you soon again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day, all of you.
Thank you
so much.
Bye. Have a good day.
All of you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you.